how to make some cherry almond scones. So first you're going to add all of your dry ingredients into the bowl, and don't worry, I will put the recipe in the caption for you guys. But I will say that making this recipe really took me back to my time in Iowa when I was working at a tea room after my husband and I first got married. Such a great time. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and mix up the dry ingredients here. And then I'm going to cut in some butter. So I don't traditionally cut in with like a fork or a knife or a pastry cutter. I use my fingers because I like to smush it, or the rub-in method, where you take the butter in between your fingers and you smush it like that with some flour. So then you get this texture. I did reserve some butter so that I could have some bigger pieces in the scones because they just create pockets when you bake it. It's so good. So then I'm going in with some water. And I probably could have added my extract at this point, but I did not. Here I am adding it. And I will double it in the recipe for you guys because it kind of baked out. Be very gentle when you're mixing the dough here. You want to kind of fold it over on itself because you don't want to develop gluten. And then I put it out on my counter, and I'm just folding it over on itself to kind of develop those layers and absorb the rest of that flour. And I'm trying to keep it in kind of like a square shape because that's how I want it to be at the end. So then I'm going to sprinkle some flour to prevent it from sticking to the counter and flip it back over onto that flour. And you could use a rolling pin here. I just chose not to. It's easier to maintain the shape by hand. So I'm just doing that here, adding a little bit of flour because it was sticking to my hand. And then I take just a little bench scraper there, and I use that to cut the dough, and I cut it into 16 pieces. And then I'm going to add it to a parchment paper lined pan, and I'm going to brush it with some heavy cream. You can do an egg wash if you want. I just didn't have any eggs in the house. They were in the garage fridge, and I didn't feel like walking out there. And then we're going to top it with some sliced almonds and some demerara sugar. And then you are going to bake. And during the baking process, I chose to make something that's called Devon cream. Traditionally, you would serve this with clotted cream in the UK, but I think it's pretty hard to find here. So we just make it by making whipped cream and adding some sour cream. And this is what we use to serve along with the scones at the restaurant or the tea room, along with some jam. So I'm just going to slice the scone open. Oh, so good. I'm kind of craving one now. I'm going to top it with some cream, and then I'll show you guys the inside. Definitely drop me a follow and let me know what you guys want to see me make in the future. But in the meantime, give me a follow for more.